For ages, people used opium as a painkiller. But opium was addictive in the sense that people tend to become codependent on it. Later, scientists withdrew morphine from opium. And they thought if we use morphine against an opium addiction, we will combat opium addiction successfully. But here's the catch. The morphine comes from the opium. Okay? The morphine is a part of the chemical construction of the opium. So, when you use a tiny part of that opium to fight the opium, what do you get? You're feeding the opium. So, eventually, there were people addicted to morphine. And to combat this, there was a German scientist in the 19th century that withdrew another chemical out of morphine, which was cocaine. And cocaine was used to combat the morphine addictions. So hold on a minute, let's go back from the beginning. You have opium, which can be used for medicinal reasons. But if you use it in the wrong context, it will kill you. And then from opium, they got morphine. Without opium, no morphine. So they got morphine out of opium, and they began to use morphine to fight opium. And then from morphine, they got cocaine. And then they began to use cocaine to fight opium. So let's get this straight. You're using the descendant of opium to fight the other descendants of opium. You'll still serve them opium, but in a lesser state. So if someone has an issue with opium and you give them morphine, you're feeding the opium because the morphine descends from the opium. If you feed them cocaine, you feed them a quote-unquote a grandchild of the opium. But it's still the opium you are sustaining. And this ended up in an epidemic. And now you have a lot of cocaine addicts. Look, the reason I'm sharing this history to you is to explain how it works with paranormal aid. Satan cannot deliver you. Satan can't even deliver himself. So he can't deliver himself, neither can the demons do, so how can they deliver you? They can't. They can only offer you extended relief at its best. So let's say that there is violence. Okay? You had your parents that mismanage your emotions at your expense. And because of that, as a kid, a wound developed in your energy field. And this open wound made you vulnerable to the dumping behavior of others. And people used to dump on you. You don't want that, because it endangered your life. So eventually, you perform some pagan ceremonies at home to some Catholic saint, which is really a demon. And the demons push the negative energies of others away from you. So you have a paranormal shield around you. So you had the violence. Okay, so in the parable, in the history I gave unto you, had opium, and then came morphine. So in this case, you had the violence from your parents and those around you that were dumping on you, and now you have a shield against the dumping. The dumping is still going on, but you have a shield. And because you have a shield, you can operate in ease, because nobody can come too close to you with their negative energy. So because you're now defending yourself using paranormal aid, you're frustrating others. Because others don't want to see you around, they have something against you, but you make clear onto them, I don't care. I'm here, I matter. And that's the right thing. You are here and you matter. They are wrong. But because you're not walking with Christ, you don't have deliverance. So what's going to happen now? You, operating in that paranormal shield, will only anger those who are already angry against you. And their anger will build up and build up and build up. And while they're angry at you, they'll become bitter. And once they're bitter, they'll begin to lie about you. And now more people will be upset with you. If people who never met you will hear bad stories about you, and they will think about you in a negative daylight. But okay, but you walk in your paranormal cover. After a few years, the cover expires, and suddenly you have a lot of headache. Why? Because all the psychic violence was going on against you is now affecting you. So now, you go deeper into the paranormal to get a better cover. Now you go to a witch doctor directly. And a witch doctor performs a ceremony using some weird oil, and you have another cover. So that's how you keep going and going. You renew the cover over and over again. But the violence itself is never dealt with. The violence is always around you, but it just can't affect you directly. It will affect your circumstances, but it can't harm you directly. But indirect, it still harms you in the sense that it hinders you in many things. Maybe you're not even noticing the hinder anymore because you're used to it. But you're still the target of violence, and you're still the dump site for the violence of others. It's just that the dumping doesn't kill you directly. So you have extended relief. It works, but it doesn't work well for you in the long run. Let's say you walked with Christ now, and you had people dumping on you. First thing that happens is your parents will disown you because you walk by faith now, so every time they talk bad about you, it backfires onto them. And others who are used to hearing your parents talk bad about you witness the repercussions on your parents. And then you realize, oh, there's some power now with that young man or that young woman. And some will come close to see what the power is. And once they figure out that they'll be next, if they act out of line, they'll be gone. What happens now? The evildoers are forced to alter their ways, and they'll become so frightened that they don't even want to think about you anymore. Because anytime they think about you, it triggers their self-humiliation, and they know it will be them that will escalate, and it will be them carrying the sort of consequences, not you. In this case, all the people that used to dump on you, eventually, they either escalate and end up in a mental institution, or they escalate and end up in fights and they die, or they harm themselves, or in some kind of way they destroy themselves. Or they realize that it's a game over and they go against their own will and deal with frustration and run away from you. In this case, you lost all those people, but now that you are moving on for real, you won't have to put up with that old baggage anymore. All the new people you'll encounter will not partake in the violence was against you. You get what I'm saying? So, in this case, you have been delivered. Once the violence is dealt with, it's dealt with. It's never going to come back. You may not even notice that the violence is gone, but it will be gone. But if you're not walking in the power of Christ, it means there's no deliverance, it means you can only have extended relief. And in extended relief, you quote-unquote move on, you can make new friends, find a new job, and it's all going well, it's all going easy. Then suddenly one day, you're attacked in your physical health, you have cancer, you're about to die, or maybe one of your children gets a very bad accident, something really bad happens. Why? The charm expired. Because remember, the paranormal operates through violence. You had violence against you. So now we use the powers of violence, which comes from demons, to combat violence. So you can only get relief from violence by using another type of violence, but you still have violence around you. And you're still vulnerable to be killed. It's just that it doesn't happen because you have a charm around you. A paranormal cover is just like opium. It's just like morphine, it's just like cocaine. It works. It works quite well. But in the long run, it works against you. That's why I'm telling you. embrace the short seasons of suffering that the Most High will tolerate concerning you. Yes, the Most High will tolerate short seasons of suffering. The Most High will tolerate some people doing you dirty. The Most High will tolerate some people treating you like trash. The Most High will tolerate some people taking action against you, attacking you, plotting against you, wanting to take your life. The Most High will tolerate a lot of that. Why? So that they will expose themselves and destroy themselves by persisting in their negativity. And while this happens, everyone that witnesses it will see the glory of God working through you, because there's so much obvious people with advantages against you, but they can't do you. Despite their advantage, it's going to show people that there's power with you. And while they are trapping themselves and destroying themselves, you move forward, and you are freed from the danger they are maintaining against you. Because that danger maintaining against you now is going to endanger them. You're not taking revenge on them. You're not rejoicing or gloating in their doom. No. You're walking forgiveness, you move on, and they that persist in the negative will be haunted by the negative. But if you have paranormal aid, if you have extended relief, then there will always be some heavy cloud hanging around you that can land down on you anytime without you being aware of it, and you can be taken out at any time. So paranormal aid works. It's practical, but in the long term, it's not wise to do it. That's why always agree with Christ. Trust His ways, not your understanding, and be at peace.